What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the So Hoops podcast. My name is Jeffrey, and as always, I'm joined by Ryan and Matthias here, bringing you another great episode talking about, 2 weeks into the NBA season. We're starting to get a little bit more of a sample size, but just talking about some teams and players and different storylines right now. And then, but before we get into that, Ryan, Matthias, how are we doing today on this wonderful Friday afternoon?
I'm doing all right. It's started to get pretty cold in Minnesota. It snowed
It's cold
last week, and it's just like kind of sucked a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't hate winter, but at the same time, like I could have used at least like 2 or 3 more weeks of fall weather. So I'm a little annoyed about that. But other than that, like things have been good. Halloween's over, so holiday season is kind of creeping up a little bit. So yeah, that's pretty much all it is.
Feel that. Yeah, it's been very cold here as well.
I feel the cold for sure. It's been tough. No, I'm preparing for parents' weekend. Actually, my parents come up tomorrow,
Nice.
So that'll be fun. But I want to talk about actually Halloween for a second. What were your guys' costumes?
So I went as Troy Bolton. I had I put on a full basketball uniform, and I was carrying around a basketball the whole night too.
That's fine.
And then the one night I went as Phil from The Hangover with my friend because he went as Al from The Hangover, the guy with the baby. And then I went as George Washington the other 2 nights, which was electric. It was a great costume.
I saw the George Washington one. That was nice.
Ryan, you were
yeah. So I only bought one costume or got one together because I only thought I was like doing one thing. So I was Roderick from Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And then
that's a good costume.
it was a good costume. And then the second night I just put on a Timberwolves jersey, and that was like the costume, which is like lame. But
dude, that's the go-to guy costume. It's just like guy at the bar, just in basketball jersey and shorts.
But like, I didn't realize I was gonna need another costume until like that night. So I was like, oh shit, what do I do? So I just like got something together. But yeah,
I feel that.
I had a lot of goodwill runs for my costumes.
Nice.
I went as Willy Wonka one night.
That costume was fire.
Great. And then I went as Edna Mode from Incredibles.
Your costumes were really nice, actually. They were good.
And then on Halloween I had the third costume. It's kind of a niche like Washington thing, but I went as the log lady from Twin Peaks. It's this like 70s crime whodunit TV show, like kind of like mystery.
I feel like every like local TV channel has their own version of that, like random like crime TV show, like mystery show.
Yeah, and it's such like a typical Washington thing. Like it hit every stereotype. It's so funny though.
Yeah. Well, let's get into basketball then. Well, we have not had an episode since the James Harden trade happened, so we can talk about that first. So at 1 a.m., James Harden got traded, and then I was up waiting for the damn package to come out, and then I was like, I'm going back to bed. I'm over this.
Same. I didn't stay up for that shit at all.
But let me pull up the full, because it's a weird package. Because like OKC got involved with like pick swaps.
Of course they did. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly. Pick swaps. We need those. I can't find it. Let me try to find it. But while I try to find this full package, you guys give your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, so I was like probably a minute from probably putting my phone down and going to bed before I got the Woj notification, and it was like, oh shit, okay, it actually happens, and I wasn't expecting it to happen. When it did, just because everything we had heard was like, okay, James Harden's ramping up. He's ramping up. He's participating in practice. He's passing all of his stuff. Nick Nurse has met with him, and it's like, okay, it looks like he's going to play. And then apparently what happened was wasn't it the two owners of the team like negotiated the deal themselves, basically?
Yeah.
And like that's something that's kind of weird. Like we don't really see that happen where owners themselves will negotiate trades amongst other owners. Definitely part of the reason it happened when it did is because they saw how good Tyrese Maxey was as like the lead guard and was like, okay, I think James Harden on this team is a little less valuable than we thought, or a little less essential than we thought, because he's still valuable everywhere, obviously. But yeah, and then kind of like what you said, Woj announces the trade happens, but it was like 20 minutes or more until we actually found out what the trade details were.
It felt so much longer than that.
It felt so much longer. I straight up went to bed and didn't I woke up to the rest of the details because I was like, I don't like, this is important, but not like that important to me. So I just kind of went out. And then when I woke up the next morning, I was really impressed that both sides kind of got what they got out of it, because I was impressed that the Clippers were able to keep Terrence Mann. And I was impressed that that Philly was able to get 2 first-round picks out of it. I thought it was
they kept Norman Powell too, right?
Yeah, I have the package here.
No. Powell stayed. They got Philly got
like Powell stayed.
Okay, so the full package, the full package, I have it right here. So the Clippers get Harden, PJ Tucker, and Philippe Petrusev. The Sixers get Robert Covington, Nick Batum, Marcus Morris, KJ Martin, an unprotected 2028 first via the Clippers, 2 seconds via the Clippers, a first from the Thunder, and a first-round pick swap via the Clippers. The Thunder did a pick swap for first-round pick exchange in like 2029, I think. So the Clippers pretty much gave up the rights to swap to OKC like 6 years in the future for them to send one of Thunder's picks out, because the Thunder have like 17 firsts still. So, but I think it is interesting though that you're seeing the Thunder get in a trade like this, because it kind of shows that they're ready to start moving some of their picks and assets just to and I've been talking about this, just get them down to a manageable amount where it's actually reasonable. Like, you're not bringing in 17 prospects over the next 5 years. Like, it's just not worth your time. I also really like this to get PJ Tucker's contract off, because 11 million over 11 million for PJ is just not it.
That felt like a win for Philadelphia to get rid of that contract, because it
I also like that they got wings, like even like Robert Covington and Morris, like even KJ Martin, like how inconsistent they can be. One of them will probably be on every given night, so it's a good cycle of defensive wings, and KJ Martin's young enough that you get a little bit of hope for some potential there. I also want to talk about I think a big part of the reason they were okay trading Harden was not only the Maxey leap that seems like it's here. It's here. But also it looks
averaging like 30.
I want to give a shout out to Joel Embiid, because he has looked like he has made a playmaking leap at like the age of like what, 29?
You know what's funny though?
He's been good, dude. He's been good.
You know what's funny though? The first game of the season, his playmaking was horrible, and then every game after that, it's been amazing.
Yeah, but even in the first game, you could see him attempting. His turnovers were just like, ugh.
Yeah, that one like where he like catches the ball and he tried to like touch pass it and it went right into Jay Crowder's hands.
He's making a noticeable playmaking leap at the age of like 29. That's not normal.
Dude, Joel Embiid, man, he continues to reinvent his game, and like I just wonder where it's going to continue to go, because like he started out as really like a low post kind of like bang down low on the block player. Then he developed the jump shot, was able to shift up to kind of the nail to operate out of there, and now it's like he can pull up for 3. The mid range is still his bread and butter. Like
face up is extended to like
it's crazy, feet. And now he's like he's becoming a really good passer before our eyes. Like his like he has gotten just so much better as the years have gotten by, and
and that's why I think acquiring those like 3-and-D wings is perfect, because they can play off of Joel so much better, and you don't need to like necessarily have Harden.
And they're all
now the combo of Maxey and Embiid is fine.
Yeah, and they're all expiring contracts. Every single one of them is a 1-year deal. So if there is a team that this season sells off, which the most likely candidate of that being the Chicago Bulls, they have two guys that you would be willing to give up capital for to complete your team, honestly. And the number one should be Zach LaVine, obviously, but even then, if getting a DeMar would be awesome as well. But now they have 2 first-round picks, 2 seconds, a bunch of expiring salary, and they can make a move this season if they want to make a push for the season. So
I personally wouldn't give up too many assets for DeMar DeRozan right now.
I wouldn't either.
If I were the Sixers, I would be targeting LaVine, obviously, and if not, I would just be targeting Caruso.
Just get a connecting piece.
Yeah, and then I would try to reroute something else, because use other assets to get like maybe a little bit of an upgrade at small forward.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Kelly Oubre has been really good.
Yes,
he has.
He's been balling.
But we'll see if that lasts the whole season.
We don't know if it's going to last the whole season.
Consistency.
So far, it's been good.
He's been amazing.
Yeah,
truly 3-and-D, because that's been the question: is he really a 3-and-D guy?
No, he's not even a 3 guy. He's a scorer. Well, let's talk. What about the Clippers side of this? I feel like it's kind of just like understood that Harden's there to be the playmaker that this team has desperately been without. And I think a lot of people automatically pointed to like, well, they have Russ, so like they have that. But Russ is a very good playmaker, but Harden is like one of the greatest playmakers of all time type conversation. So
and Russ has aged, so he's not like his scoring has aged really poorly compared to Harden. You know what I mean?
Russ,
so he's
no
impacts his passing. That impacts his passing a lot.
He's regressed like a solid bit, obviously, as we all know.
He's still a good player.
I think like his Lakers stint made it look worse than it actually was, but like we can be honest and say that Westbrook, it just isn't. He's not really in the same realm of playmaker as Harden is anymore. Whether Russ's style of playmaking is better suited for this team than Harden, I think there's a debate there. I was saying this in a Twitter space yesterday, Jeff. I know you were there. Matthias, I don't know about you, but
I was in there.
I was saying that like I don't think the biggest problem with this Clippers team is that they haven't had a lead playmaker. It's just that when the game gets close and it's in the fourth quarter, their offense just like kind of devolves into isolation. And I don't think James Harden is the kind of playmaker that necessarily fixes that. Like I think he can, but like as we just saw yesterday, like he's already talking about like how he doesn't want to be put on a leash on offense and how he wants to play his style. And it's like I don't know how great of a fit that is with this team.
Yeah, I would say the one thing I think at this point, Harden's style of game, especially when the game starts to slow down, is a lot of pick and roll. And I think that that's something that can add a new aspect to this team, because that is really the reason that they've had to go small so much and play that like really funky small ball 5-out ISO, is because there hasn't been someone to be able to run a pick and roll, make a decision in the pick and roll, and create for others or create for themselves. And I think when you have a guy who is now the third scoring option, you have a big in Ivica Zubac who is just a dirty work, like just the definition of that type of center, just rebounds, grabs loose balls, sets screens, like that. That's all he's doing. I think it can create an opportunity to add to the team a late game scenario.
I agree.
And I think it'll get away, because that way you're getting a heavy dose of all types of
stuff. The pick and roll point is a good point. I just think that like even last year when like he'd be playing with Joel Embiid, even when they'd run pick and roll in late game, like Harden wasn't even passing to Embiid that much. I think Harden would still opt to take a lot of step back jumpers and and kind of go for the floaters and play his style of basketball. If Harden and Kawhi could run pick and roll like late in game with Kawhi as a screener and Harden as the ball handler, that would be beautiful. Or Westbrook as the screen. Like if Westbrook and Harden want to work together, have Westbrook be the screener, honestly. But I don't know. I just have my reservations about it.
I kind of agree with both of you. It could go really bad or it could go really well. Like there's a world where Harden just like they fall into the same realm where Harden just ISOs or like, you know, gets selfish in the pick and roll. But also they've never had a guy who can pass that requires this much attention. You brought up the pick and roll, but also Harden's going to require double teams at times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the easiest way to stop a stagnant offense is to have like an advantage. So if Harden can play make it out of doubles. So you have a 4-on-3, the ball is going to move. So that immediately improves ball movement. Also, if you're trying to run sets for Kawhi or PG off ball, for instance, if you're having Russ trying to run a stagger screen with PG and Kawhi, guy guarding Russ is going to drop in, and you're going to have two guys guarding PG or Kawhi at all times on that off ball action. With James Harden, you can't do that. So then I think it's going to open up like more advanced play calling for their offense. And I think James Harden, Kawhi, and PG are high enough IQ. And I think with their bench players, they're going to have to run more sets. And I think they will with those guys. And I think it'll work a lot.
Yeah.
I think in that portion it'll work because they'll be able to run things that require more ball movement.
Yeah. I'm a fan. I think I would agree with what you're saying, Matthias, about it's gonna create new opportunities that haven't been there previously. And I think that's really what the Clippers need. And honestly, I don't think this probably is the game-changing move that pushes them over the top over a Denver in the West or over a Boston. But honestly, like you've invested so much capital into this. It's like just you gotta give it one last chance, and I think this is the best chance. And I don't really think the cost was that much, honestly. I mean,
no, it wasn't really. And like I said, being able to keep Terrence Mann, I think, was a huge win for the Clippers. Even if Terrence Mann isn't as young as everybody kind of thinks he is, he's like, dude is like 27. He's like 27, 28.
He's got a young career. We'll see.
He's got a young career, and like that's still he's still got room to grow and a game to kind of develop. But to be a bit optimistic about the trade, like I do still like the move. Like I think if this trade is on the table, and if you're the Clippers, I think you do it 10 out of 10 times. And I think a lot of the reason the trade makes sense isn't because the pieces themselves fit together great. It's because like the odds of one of your star players being out is just so likely at this point that now you have more insurance for when it actually happens. Like, because the way it's kind of been is like, okay, if Kawhi is out, they basically don't have a real chance of winning consecutive playoff series. But now with Harden, I think you have a better chance of doing that. And if Paul George is out and Harden is in and Kawhi is in, I think you have a better chance. I don't know. I mean, I just like it I do like it for the Clippers. I have my reservations, but overall, I like it. As far as where this kind of moves them in the Western Conference power rankings,
do you think they're the second best team?
I would say that them and Phoenix are tied. I think before this trade, I would have had the Lakers above the Clippers, but I think this trade changes things. I've got the Clippers and the Suns tied for second.
I want to wait till I see it actually in action.
Yeah, I agree.
The thing is, I think it could work. Like I've said a lot of positives about it, but also that's if James Harden buys in. There's a very real world
and
where
also,
James Harden does not buy in.
You got to wait till like 5 or 10 games after, because when James Harden gets traded somewhere, that dude does everything that he never does normally. You guys remember when he got traded to Philly and he's like backdoor screening and like setting, like being like a pick and roll like screener.
Actually taking catch and shoot threes, which he never ever does.
Yeah.
But like if he just falls in line with the stagnant ISO, it's like I don't think this team is better than the Lakers.
That's actually hilarious to bring that up because I remember that like honeymoon phase of
everyone's like,
Harden
oh my
and Embiid
God,
playing together, and it's like, oh my God, they're unbeatable. I fell for it too. I was like, this duo is unbeatable. Like, ain't nobody's fucking with this team. And like, that's actually hilarious.
Then the playoffs came around.
And then he just like basically quit on the team after that. I don't want to say I'm out on Harden, but like this is like his actual last chance, like in my mind. Because like if you can't make it work with Kawhi and PG, it's like, come on.
I agree.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then let's just talk about some teams that we want to talk about. I think the first team we have to unfortunately talk about is the Bucks.
Yeah. We got to bring this up.
So the Bucks have been 2-2. Their first game against the Sixers was a really close, like electric Dame game. Second game they got blown out by the Hawks. Then they play the Heat, and then they go up 20. And then I'm not even going to say anything about the defense on that one because they just put in they just emptied the bench and all the role players just came in and started hitting threes, like just a ton of threes. So it's just like, okay, there's not much you can do, especially when they're contested. And then they just got blown out by the Raptors 2 days ago.
And I do want to start talking about that Raptors game because I do think it's a mix of Raptors are better than everyone thought they would be.
Yeah.
Right now, at least. We'll see if that continues. But right now, they're overachieving from people's expectations. Even if you were high on Scotty or not, like the expectations for this team was pretty low.
Yeah.
But also, there's some glaring scheme issues with the Bucks right now. And I think, Jeff, you can talk about it pretty accurately.
I think everyone just assumed that because Dame and Giannis were such a seamless fit, like you have this generational slasher and then you have a generational pick and roll shot creator, sharpshooter, that it's just going to be very seamless. I think one thing that's just gotten lost in the mix with this is like, this is a whole new coaching staff with a whole new philosophy on both sides of the ball. And I do want to say this, Bucks fans who are already like hating on Adrian Griffin, saying that he's not a good coach. He's a first-time head coach, and it's 4 games into the year. Like I want to point to this. I want to point to this example because I think it's probably the most comparable scenario. 2 years ago, when Brad Stevens stepped down from the head coaching position with the Celtics, moved into the front office to be the GM, and they hired Ime. That team was like 500 or sub 500 most of the year. And they went on, and once they figured out how they could, use Ime's scheme to advance themselves a little further and really play within that and what worked best for the personnel on that roster, they went on that huge run. They shot up from like the 7th seed to like the 2 seed or 1 seed. I don't even remember. And then they went to the finals. Yeah. And I just think that's going to take some time to really understand. I mean, we've been playing the same type of basketball for 5 years with no changes. Defense, it's drop coverage. Let them shoot threes if they're open. Don't just, make sure there's nothing in the rim or the mid-range. On offense, Giannis go score the basketball and Chris go score the basketball and everyone else just hit, catch, and shoot threes. And it's just like they're running more motion in the offense. There's a lot of dribble handoffs. There's a lot more action. I will say we need to run more pick and roll, but it's like I'm not even concerned about that because it's like we know that pick and roll is going to work. That's not what I'm worried about. I'm not.
Yeah,
like,
but you also need to develop pick and roll chemistry, especially Giannis and Dame, because Giannis needs to set a screen, dude.
Yeah, he is the worst. He is like, I don't know why he like does not set, like he slips so early. He does not hold it.
It's because he thinks like since they're pressuring Dame, he's got to slip. But it's also like the best thing for Dame is that he's so quick he can split that.
Yeah.
If you clip him and just get one guy in your hip, Dame's downhill and he has a pull-up 3 or he's got a 4-on-3 himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you just gotta sit on it for a half a second.
Yeah, and I just also the 2 games that they lost, the role players, just bench guys. I mean, they just start off shooting really bad from 3 at the start of the game. It's just like you start off 0 from 9 or 0 from 10 from 3. Like for example, in that Raptors game, it's just like you're not if the other team is hitting threes and you start off 0 from 10, you're probably not going to get back into that game, and because you're going to be down by so much. Like them hitting 5 of 8 from 3 to start the game, and you going 0 from 9 is like that's a 15-point swing plus whatever's happening in the paint. Like it's just not going to work out well.
Yeah.
But I personally am really a big fan of the scheme that we're running, especially on the defensive side of the ball. It just needs to get better communication. They need to understand where to be a little bit more. Brook has to get used to adjusting earlier than he previously has had to. That's kind of why Brook was a depoy candidate, is because he's great timing around the rim when he's contesting shots. And when you start adjusting where you're positioning on the court, you have to adjust how you time those things. And practice can only get you so much, because when you get on a real court, it's so much different speed. So
yeah,
I think it'll take some time. I'm going to give it about probably 15 games. I would like to see some more consistent basketball being played from Dame and Giannis. That would be my thing. That's like, these guys.
I mean,
just
yeah.
But I also think they need to put them in. They need to put them in better situations, and I think that's because I think the coaching staff is testing out things right now. They have a whole new staff. They had a late camp realistically with this roster because the Dame trade. Like, Dame is a huge roster and scheme shifting piece.
Yeah,
they need to simplify their scheme a little bit. For instance, Brook, every time there's a pick and roll with Brook being guarded, it's a chase over, drop. It doesn't matter. Everyone else can switch. 1 through 4 switch, 5 drops, because Brook is not useful if he's not in drop. That's number one. Simplify that. I guess that kind of complicates it, but simplify it for Brook. Right? Mm-hmm. That's all you got to do. On offense, Damian Lillard horn set is one of the most efficient plays in basketball history. You have Brook Lopez, who's a great stretch center, and Giannis, who's a fucking freight train downhill. They need to run that every time.
Yeah.
Not every time, but they need to run that a lot. And they've been like running off-ball sets for other people while Dame sits in the corner. And I'm so sorry, but Dame cannot sit in the corner. He has to be on one of the X's on the top of the keys.
I've sung my praises about Malik Beasley, but can they stop running actions for him? Like, can they just
yes?
Yeah,
these daggers need to be going for Dame, not Malik. I don't know what we're doing. Like,
it's just weird. And like the thing about the Giannis Dame 2-man game stuff, it's like, they haven't played a ton together yet, and they're still kind of figuring each other out. But like, we saw in preseason, they were running it like a lot, and then the regular season starts, they just stop. It's like, why? Why are you doing that? Just
keep on running. The opposite. You should be running all your sets and weird shit in the preseason.
Yeah, and I don't really understand. Also, Chris Middleton, what's the deal with him? It's like,
so he had Giannis and him both had knee surgery, but Giannis had a cleanup surgery. Apparently, Chris's knee injury last year, he was playing on like a partially torn meniscus, I think. So he had a meniscus surgery to repair his meniscus. So he's currently on a rehab plan from his surgery. About 15 to 18 minutes a night, I think, right now. They're going to ramp him up, slowly. He started off at like 12 minutes the first game. He's not playing back-to-backs, which is like, I expect, like, whatever. I don't care. And then they're going to ramp him up slowly. But Chris has looked good. Some people were saying that they didn't like how Chris looked, but I was like, I don't know. I mean, he's playing like 10 to 15 minutes a game, and he hasn't been shooting exceptionally well, but like in the Raptors game, it was like, looked like vintage Chris. Like, he got the guard on his back down, turn away midi, like, or I'm going to the rim. He's been playmaking super well. I think he is averaging like 5 assists a game, and he's only playing like 15 minutes, which is like, that's pretty impressive. So I don't know. I think you gotta wait to see how he looks when he's off his minutes restriction. And also like this rotation just got to figure it out. I will say one thing I am very, very pleased with is Jay Crowder has been exceptional this season. Like
that's big for the Bucks. Yeah,
he looks really good. Like he looks like he is the big wing that the Bucks need, which is funny because we get the big wing and then now we need the defensive guard. So
my thing is, I think you guys have two guys that I think can fill that role. Number one, we've talked about it before, but MarJon, and this is another thing that will help with Dame and Chris getting more actions for them is if you start MarJon, because obviously this coaching staff likes the shooting threat of Malik Beasley, right?
Yes.
Then if you want to run sets for Malik Beasley, you have to stagger Dame and Malik Beasley minutes then, because you are not favoring Beasley over Dame unless they deny Dame and then like the name,
which I have noticed,
and then Malik Beasley is like a second option.
I have noticed that I think teams, because they know that this team is like the talk of all of this because they got Dame, I feel like teams have been even more aggressive guarding Dame. Like I know teams obviously always are like full court pressing Dame. They always do that, but like
they always kick his ass, dude.
I mean, like literally Dennis Schroeder literally full court press him every single possession. Like
Dennis Schroeder hates Dame though. He is he doesn't like him. There's a little beef behind that.
So like it's just I don't know. I think it'll feel it out more. Giannis has been okay, but like it's like fourth game of the season. I have really no real thoughts. I would just like the scheme to be simplified, and I think there's probably a trade to be made for a defensive guard just to have another one on the roster because Pat Connaughton, you were a good dude. I will always remember you. 2021 Pat Connaughton was special, but it's over, man. I'm sorry. So I think there's a couple guys that you can target throughout the season on bad teams that might be selling.
I think you wait a little bit and you invest in MarJon because
I agree. I would rather
just don't want to. They have no assets
MarJon
right now. You don't want to milk them anymore,
or let Andre Jackson Jr. play. Like just play Andre.
I think Andre should get more bench. Like should at least get tested in the bench rotation.
He's a special defensive player. Like,
yes,
very special defensive player.
But like MarJon is still someone that is reliable enough to where like he said, when Dame is getting rejected, because let's be honest, even if you want to get Dame the ball every time, and you want to run off ball sets for him, or you want him to pick up the ball, there will be times where he gets denied. Let's be honest. But you want the totem pole to be Giannis, Dame, 1A, 1B, right?
Yep.
Chris, Brooke, and then your starting shooting guard, which would be MarJon, which I think he fits that fifth option a lot better.
And even if he's
not natural trigger finger, he likes to cut off ball. He's a hustle player, rebounder. He sets solid screens for his size. Good defender versus Malik likes to score.
Also, I think you can live a little bit more with the offensive inconsistencies that a guy like MarJon would bring or Andre Jackson Jr. when you're playing alongside Dame. Because Dame is not going to be this shooting this bad and being this inaggressive the whole season. It's not going to happen. It's like if you're playing alongside of the backcourt with Damian Lillard and, even if you're not hitting all of your shots, it's like, well, all I need you is defend because Dame will do his thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Dame had Matisse Thybulle on his roster and was running efficient offense.
Mo Harkless, Alfred Gramino went to the Western Conference Finals. You know what I mean? With Enes Kanter. Like, MarJon has to be semi-serviceable, or Andre Jackson has to be semi-serviceable and play good defense.
Yeah, but if some teams decide to sell guys off, make calls, be aggressive, John Horst, which I've always said I don't think some of these guys would get traded because they're such fan favorites, and then we traded away Drew Holiday, so I don't think that we're really concerned with that stuff. My fever dream players to get would be Caruso or Marcus Smart, and then some lower guys like a DeLon Wright maybe.
I like the DeLon Wright.
DeLon Wright, I've been like he's like my role player fixation right now that I would love to be. like if you just like look at him, like his advanced stats, like his comparable defensive like rating is like around like some guys that are like the number one perimeter defensive players like KCP grades out around the same as him. Like you could get a KCP level defense next to you alongside Dame that can just make some more impact. He's really good on offense. He's a good playmaker and he can play off and on ball. So, But the thing with like Marcus Smart is like you have to give up Bobby Portis if you want to do that. So
you have to give a lot for Marcus Smart.
Yeah, it'd be like Bobby Portis and Pat, but
they might want one of your young wings too.
Oh, I might consider it.
Like, yeah.
But we can enough about the Bucks. They're making me sad. So
yeah.
Hopefully we're playing the Knicks today, and they always kill the Knicks, so I need them to win tonight for me.
Let's keep it in the East. I want to talk about the Raptors.
Sure.
You know, they just blew the brakes off the Bucks off of a huge Scottie performance.
Yeah, he was playing well.
Outplayed Giannis and Dame. Had some instances in that game where I was like blown away by both his physical prowess, like physically moving Giannis, something we haven't even seen players like Jokic or Joel Embiid do much. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Scottie's physically moving him. So Scottie has made he's already was one of the stronger players in the league, but he seems like he's now like top tier strength. And then also, you guys see those step back threes? Tween, side step, pull up middies,
dude,
like playing at his own pace, get guys on his hip, floaters,
jump shot
and roll,
is like looking great, man.
Dude,
the jumper's looking good.
I was someone that was like, hey, development isn't linear. Scottie could, have a leap because like this is development, but I was not expecting him to like. It's early, so he could regress to the mean again. We could see, but right now it's like. His offense has smoothed out and he's become like he looks like he could be a true engine. Like he's making good reads. He knows when to push the pace. He's making veteran reads on like how to like control like the whole flow of the game.
Yeah, that's been my thing too. Like I think about the Sixers game because that's the like other than the Wolves game, that's the only other Raptors game I've really tuned into and like a lot of Scottie's like sporadicness and just kind of out of control tendencies with the ball in his hands have really smoothed out. Just like what you said, his ability to accelerate and then, stop moving on a dime and get a layup up or stop in the mid range, take the threes, obviously, been super impressive. And then the defense is still there too. Yeah. I think some of the defensive awareness stuff that has also plagued him a tiny bit. I think have smoothed out. His paint defense has looked really good against players bigger than him. Like you said, like he had some really good possessions against Joel Embiid, or like a Giannis when he's been guarding them. So, yeah, I think Scottie's been really good so far.
I've been super impressed with Scottie, and I think it's like you just saw the games. You can see the game has slowed down for him. Like there's one possession that sticks out, and he did nothing special. I think it was in the first or second quarter of the Sixers game. He got the ball like kicked out or tipped out on like an air ball or a steal or something to him on offense, and there was like 4 or 5 seconds left on the shot clock. Yeah. Before then, I would see Scottie like rush, either just shoot the three as a guy's like closing out and shoot a contested three, or try to shoot like a pull up like midi or like you know what I mean, or swing it and then like throw a grenade, right? Instead. He gets it. He looks, sees the shot clock, tempo, throws a head fake, takes literally. He's like 6'9". He's like Giannis. He gets to the rim in like one second, one stride, layup. You know what I mean? And it's something that's like so simple, but that's something that it speaks volumes to the patience that he's developed over this offseason. And you see it in the pick and roll as well. You see it in all of offense, and also, I don't know if Nick Nurse like held him back a little bit. I don't know if you guys saw that interview.
I saw that, man. It was awkward. Like
it feels like it was locked up.
We kind of knew this a bit last season, with just what was kind of coming out about that Raptors locker room, but you could really tell that by the end there, Nick Nurse and a lot of the Raptors players kind of had a strained relationship, and to hear Scotty Barnes, who's kind of like the future of your franchise in so many ways, say that about his old coach is like yeah, it must have been
alarming.
Bad. It's alarming. And from also what I've seen, their new guy, who I keep on forgetting the name of, their new head coach over there in Toronto. The players get along with him super, super well, and he seems like a great coach for that group. So
yeah,
I think coaching definitely, like what you said, is playing a big part in Scotty's progression. It's something. It's something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. His first name is Darko. I know
Darko.
Yeah.
I
just don't know if it's a Jara.
I'm gonna say this too. I think people were a little bit. I'm gonna sit down. This is gonna sound kind of bad, but I think people were lying about how much the Fred VanVleet stuff last year was really holding back the ability for the other guys on this roster to like flourish and be able to kind of have more freedom, because they just took the ball out of all these guys' hands and just like forced them into roles that just didn't make sense. And it's just like the offense doesn't look great. It looks kind of bad for the Raptors, but it's like you can see if there's growth there. And it's like
it looks so much better than what they were and what we thought they'd be at. And it's like, and I feel like Pascal hasn't even had that good of a year. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, he's still heating up.
He's gonna get traded, man. I'm calling it.
I don't know. That man Masai loves to compete. If Scotty shows that he can compete, they have Dennis Schroeder, OG, and
it's true.
Dennis has been really good too.
Yeah, that's why Dennis has been really good. If they show they can be like a playoff team or a playing team, which if Scotty stays at this level and Pascal, wakes up, if they can show they can play together, I don't think Masai's trading anybody. He just he loves to like be at least a semi-competitor.
I just think that this team can still compete with Pascal off the roster. Obviously depends on the market for him, but there's 100%, there's 1,000% like going to be a wide market for Pascal, just because of how good he is. And
there
are teams who have lofty expectations that might start to sputter out a little bit, or want like some extra juice heading out of the trade deadline. So I don't know. You could keep an eye on a team like the Pacers, or if they want to make a big splash, or the Kings, who have been linked to Pascal for like a couple of years now.
Atlanta's also been linked to them.
Atlanta, there was a ton of noise between the Raptors and the Hawks, like in August. It kind of died out in like 2 days, but could happen given how the Hawks continue to go. Even though Jalen Johnson, I don't really think they'd want to give up him, because he's really good so far.
Jalen Johnson.
It'd have to be like DeAndre Hunter and
or Bey,
or Sadiq Bey, or someone.
Sadiq Bey didn't sign his contract, so he's got rookie salary. Let's look here. DeAndre Hunter. So it would be like DeAndre Hunter and Bogdan.
Maybe? Could be, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that would make the salary about work.
Yeah, I don't know. I think there are teams that would be open to having Pascal on the roster.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
I agree. Well, I know another team that we would have been wanting to talk about is the San Antonio Spurs here.
Oh,
with Wemby. Game last night was awesome. I was checking from now and then when I could. I was not home, so I couldn't watch.
Yeah, I pretty much watched the entire thing. And yeah, I've tuned into a lot of Spurs games so far this year. I watched a good bit of them last year, when Vassell was in, because like when he wasn't in, I just like it was hard to watch at times, because they just didn't really have another great scoring option. But Wembanyama, it's here.
Yeah.
It happened. 38 points, 10 rebounds, shot 3 for 5 from 3. It's like, my God. Let me read the full stat line. got the win against the KD and Booker Suns.
Yeah, Booker coming back.
1 steal, 2 blocks, 2 assists. 15 for 26 from the field. Like, he had a hell of a game.
20 in the first half.
20 in the first half, and he also closed out the game. Like,
I believe he had 11 in the fourth ish, right?
Something like, yeah.
He had around
he's been super efficient in the fourth quarter. So
yeah,
I
which
believe,
is like
I believe
crazy.
I saw a stat
like 11 of 15 or something like that.
I believe I saw a stat where before like last night, a majority of his points have all come in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Like, he's just been, that's where he gets most of his production is. And some of that is due to, like, he's been in foul trouble early a lot. So it's like, he has to be passive for the first 3 quarters.
He does need to. The problem is he knows he can block everything, and he can block everything, so he jumps a little bit too much.
Yeah. But I thought he was better at that last night.
Yeah.
I thought his decision making on when to jump or not, like, he didn't get those highlight blocks as much last night.
He has to learn how to be aggressive on defense in the NBA, because it's a lot different than overseas.
I think so far he's been perfectly fine.
No, he's been good. I mean,
amazing.
just like,
I
just mean like, there's some plays that he probably thinks he can make because he's done it before, but it's just not going to work the same way in the NBA, because guys know how to.
Yeah,
they're going to get calls in the NBA.
One thing that I really wanted to bring up, it was really on my mind about Wembanyama, is after the first KD game, when he was interviewed asking, like,
that was a funny
how do you feel about playing KD? Like, what do you take away from it? And he goes, I feel like I have a lot to grow. I felt like I rushed things. I need to play at my own pace, be more patient, and like make my reads, right?
Yeah.
48 hours later, there is a legit, visible, like, improvement on how he was dissecting the Suns defense. So it's a mix of film and just like basketball, just like IQ out of the fucking roof, because the way he was like reading like the 4-on-3s out of the pick and rolls, like, he'd get the ball at the nail and he would make the right decision like every time. And a lot of times in these early games, he would either rush a jump shot or rush a pass early into a high-low or to the corner, and it was guarded. It's a turnover, And it was like, we've seen rapid improvement from Wembanyama, and he's came into the league like already so refined. Like, I am terrified, but I'm also so excited.
I'm so excited, but also terrified, because like, he actually this is his 5th NBA game, and he just and like, down the stretch of that game last night, he was just making all the right plays and dissecting that Suns defense. Like, straight up, it was insane. The Suns on the shoulders of Devin Booker, they get that massive comeback in the fourth quarter. They tie it up with like 3 minutes to go. Before you know it, Wembanyama gets to the line, makes 2 free throws, cuts for an easy dunk, pulls up for 3. Pulls up for a mid-range. He makes them all. He's making defensive plays, getting rebounds, getting the team out in transition. It's like he just closed this game single-handedly against a legit finals contender with Devin Booker and KD playing. That is
top 3. We just said they're like
crazy.
A top 3 team in the West. Like, 30 minutes ago, you know what I mean? Like, this is a legit team, and they just beat them back to back.
Yeah, I was saying this on Twitter yesterday. But it feels like we're watching like the next like LeBron or like Michael Jordan or something like that. It's crazy.
Well, the Spurs have had a tough schedule. Correct me if I'm wrong. They have already had to play the Suns back to back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they won both.
And they won both of them.
That game was hilarious.
Victor actually might carry these guys. Like, I honestly think unless they sit them out too many games, Victor really might carry these guys to a playing spot. Oh my God, it's crazy.
It really could happen. Like,
so they played.
I will say it is early season, and a lot of times young teams start off hot and they'll fizzle out. So we'll see if they can keep it up. But
and Vassell is going to be out for a little bit too. So I don't like.
We'll
see how long he's out for. But
they played a pretty tough schedule so far. So they played opening night against the Mavs. They lost by only 7. They beat the Rockets. Then they got blown out by the Clippers. And they played the Suns back to back.
Yeah, the only easy game there is the Rockets.
Yeah. About the Spurs though, like apart from Wembanyama, I think we've seen some pretty good things from a lot of the supporting cast. Sohan is not a point guard, and I kind of wish that they'd just stop that already. And
I like it. I'm not gonna lie. I like it.
I love Sohan. Like he's one of my favorite players in the NBA. And he's a talented passer for his age and position. I just like as a ball handler, he's just not ready yet to run point guard. And I get they want to mold him into that early, and give him that practice. But I also think that like Trey Jones is there and he's serviceable. And I think
I've been more impressed with Sohan's play than Trey Jones personally. I've
liked Sohan more on defense than on offense.
That's obvious. Sohan's defense is huge, but
but that's the thing. I think this offense needs to be more smooth over because I think I agree with you, Ryan, about Trey Jones. I was actually going to bring that up. I would like more Trey Jones minutes because I think he's a little bit more comfortable playing guard right now. But I don't mind the Sohan. The point Sohan's fun. I really don't care. But I think Trey Jones just getting a little bit more run might be beneficial to the whole team because there are times when you're watching the Spurs and they have these lineups of like no point guard out there and they just like are throwing the ball around and just like nobody is getting set and organized. And Trey Jones is like, he's not a high end player, but he's a guy that's just like, he's like the most stereotypical point guard role player you could think of.
Yeah. I just feel like my worry, especially now with Vassell out, like they're gonna have to play Trey Jones, but they're not gonna have spacing. And I know Sohan doesn't bring spacing anyways. They both don't bring spacing at all. Yeah. But I think Sohan's offensive rebounding, his interior presence is better than Trey Jones.
Yeah.
And I think Trey Jones can't be maximized. His playmaking can't be maximized by this roster right now.
Yeah.
Like in a couple of years, if these players, like refine their skills and stuff, like I think they'll need a playmaking guard. But like right now, I think the overall defensive value, interior presence value, and the fact that realistically, when healthy, you want Vassell and Wemby to be your play initiators. And a lot of times when Sohan's bringing the ball up, it's because it's not they're running the action for him. It's just, hey, we need someone that like is reliable enough to like pass and cut at the top of the key. And then he's also big body enough that you can run into early set pick and rolls off rip.
Yeah. Another player in the Spurs that I think has been really serviceable has been Zach Collins.
Yes, he's been good.
I think he's been really good. He's been taking a like maybe too many threes, even though he can hit them from out there. So maybe chill in the threes a little bit, but I think Zach Collins, he's been playing really well, especially after that kind of weird start to his career in Portland. I've really liked what Zach Collins has been doing this season.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, I like it a lot. And I think it's allowing Wemby to be a little bit more comfortable, especially on the defensive end.
Yeah.
100%. Sure. I was about to say he's like the perfect young combo for Wemby.
Yeah.
Because also people don't realize Zach likes to like bounce in the big bodies down low. Like he likes to bang. Like he enjoys the physicality of being in the post. That was a lot of times like his injury and in his early careers that he was being too physical. You know what I mean? Like he needed to chill out and not try to body everybody.
Yeah.
And that's great for Wemby because Wemby doesn't have to worry about it. And the high-low, you can run the high-low so well with them. Oh, dude. I could go on and on about just how easy it is to scheme about Wemby, dude.
Yeah. He's a fun. It's just awesome to watch. It's like not real watching it.
Oh my God.
Especially with how the three ball being a little bit of a question mark, like how consistent it's going to be. It's looked like amazing.
The percentages haven't been like amazing, but like they've looked good each time, and he knows how to get in the spots.
And literally no shot is contested. So it's just like they're all most of them are good shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like his three requires gravity. Like for instance, like It's not like he's picking and popping and they're late contesting.
He's like coming off like ball screens and stuff.
Yes, he's shooting like a lot of people got. I'm gonna say it every time. When you look at Wemby's percentages, you got to think wing guard because that's his play style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not like even like the Chet Wemby comparison is. I'm gonna bring it up. Everyone's gonna bring it up forever. When you look at their percentages, Wemby is probably gonna have worse shooting percentages for a majority of his career.
Yeah.
But that's because their shot diet is going to be completely different. Completely different. You know what I mean? Like Chet is like a true stretch four, even though he's super versatile and like a new age four. He's more traditional.
He's more like spot up.
Wemby's a 7'3" Paul George, dude. Like that's the same archetype. You know what I mean? Like obviously, he's a scoring wing with a little bit of playmaking chops.
Yeah,
I agree.
What next?
Other teams?
I want to talk about the Blazers for a bit.
Let's go for it. But
I don't know. I haven't seen like any reports on it at all. I don't know if I just somehow missed it, but Scoot Henderson got hurt last night.
I saw. Actually, I did see that.
Yeah, rolled his ankle. Not really any word on it that I've seen. I don't know if it's a sprain or if he's available tonight. Like, let me look that up actually. But the Blazers have run into an issue where Scoot Henderson has struggled and now he's hurt. Anthony's hurt. So we're kind of all mucked up. But
tank time, I want
to talk to you guys about the possibility of Scoot coming off the bench when fully healthy, because I think at this point that's what needs to be done.
Yeah.
I've been a big advocate of it, and it needs to be done.
I was against it, but because I thought being a on-ball creator, being good at that right away in the NBA is the hardest thing to translate, like shot creation.
Yeah.
And Scoot looks extra bad. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
He's showed a little bit of improvement, but still he does not look good.
He's been steadily showing that he's getting better, but I think he's taking way too many threes because he's not comfortable with the spacing and physicality yet. He is not playmaking well because he's not getting downhill. I was eventually against it. I think it's good that they tried it out, but I think it would be beneficial for him to come off the bench as alongside Malcolm Brogdon or start Malcolm Brogdon now.
Well, I honestly think Malcolm Brogdon should still come off the bench. I think I'm more of a point guard Sharp. I think, and I'm saying when fully healthy because right now Scoot's out. I just looked at the injury report. Scoot's out.
Well, I mean, but so Ant's going to be out for a little while, so
yeah. So I guess when they come back,
when they're healthy, it's going to be Anthony, Shaden, Jeremy, or Matisse. Jeremy and Matisse, and then
Aiden.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, I also want to bring up Sharp because he's looked amazing, and that's a big portion of why I want to bring Scoot off the bench. I'm a big advocate of that. Is because Sharp now looks like he's a functional, controlled offensive player to run an offense against starters. You know what I mean? And he's shown a little bit of a defensive knack. Like he's still like an okay defender, but he's good in passing lanes. Like he's figured out his length and to use his burst in the passing lanes. But he looks way more comfortable against starters and in like big situations than Scoot.
Yeah.
And I think he's earned those touches. And a big thing about the NBA is that you have to earn your role, and Scoot right now hasn't. And we have guys, Anthony and Sharp, who have. You know what I mean? And it's like I think our team will be better if we start them. And then the last thing I want to talk about with these guys, I have a question, is that how soon do you think Jeremy Grant gets moved? Because I also think he's holding back so many touches. I think he's holding back Sharp from starting.
If
in a way with all three of them, if all three of them wanted to start.
If the Bulls don't trade any of their stars, he's going to be a Sixer.
Could be.
Give me Paul Reed. Paul Reed and Nicholas Batum. Paul Reed and Nicholas Batum.
You're probably getting like a first and a second. First and 2 seconds.
No,
and
Jaden Springer. Way too much money, dude. You guys got to give us
Yeah,
money.
no, they got all those contracts, big dog.
Yeah.
You're getting Marcus
I want
Morris.
Batum.
You're getting
I want
Clipper,
Batum.
man.
He's got to retire.
Yeah, I think he's. Yeah, we forgot to talk about that. Batum has like not gone to like any team activities other than his like press conference.
Yeah,
for personal reasons, and
he
he like
gets
was like
traded
very vocal
Yeah.
that he was like mad that he got traded. So like
because he already kind of said that he's going to retire after the summer, and
Yeah.
I don't think he wanted to play his last stint of NBA basketball in Philadelphia. I think he wanted to just play out his last year as a Clipper and just be done after that.
Yeah, but if he came back to
his
Portland,
wife
that'd be great.
reposted that Lauren
like-
Holiday
Yeah,
complaining.
I mean, I get it. It's hard for families, man.
It is hard. I will never ever underestimate that aspect, but every single NBA player should not be surprised when trades go through, especially when you are a role player, because that is why you are paid a premium price to be able to do what you do, because you have a huge market, and that is something that you sign up for when you become a professional basketball player, especially in the NBA.
That's kind of my thing too. Like, yeah, it is hard for like families and the human aspect of it, because like you can families players have to uproot themselves within like a moment's notice, and
like a lot of times
new place.
A lot of times people's families don't even come with them if they get traded. Like
they for the first couple months, but then so they move after a little bit.
Well, like Mike Conley said that his family didn't move to Minnesota until this summer.
Yeah.
Which I guess that was only like 3 months. So,
well, before we get into the next team, I was kind of messy. I just kind of want to summarize for the Blazers. There's two things I want to see with this lineup. And one, in the near future, I want to see them tinker with Scoot off the bench, because right now there's not enough touches to start Scoot and Sharp and Jeremy and Ayton. Like, that's just not a realistic thing. Like, Sharp or Scoot is going to get held back in that situation. So, not realistic. And in my opinion, Sharp's earned that starting spot. You move Ant to the one.
Yeah.
And in the long term, I want to see them trade Jeremy, because, like I said, you can't start all four of them. And I think Jeremy's an all right vet. You know what I mean? Like, he's a solid, like, he's a good vibes guy. He's a good locker room guy. But in terms of like playing the right way, ball movement, like veteran leadership on the court, I don't think you'd miss much, right?
No, I don't know.
No. And then you open up touches for Sharp and Scoot, and you live with it. You live with Scoot struggles for the rest of the year. All right. You guys, Ryan, did you want to talk about the Lakers?
Yeah, we can for a little bit, just because I've been confused as to how to view this team, because it's just so weird and so up and down as far as who's going to contribute on any given night. And I started to kind of feel this way after the Clippers game a few days ago, which has probably been the game of the season so far. Overtime against the Clippers. And like that, it's just a weird team, because like D'Lo had a really high scoring game, but it didn't feel like he played that well. And Cam Reddish was good defensively, and on offense he couldn't do a thing. Christian Wood was just like kind of all over the place, as far as like he'd look awful one possession and then look amazing the next possession. LeBron being able to do what he is doing right now is like it's been talked about a lot, but like almost like in a way it kind of hasn't been. Like this dude LeBron, his head still like matches up with the rim when he jumps, and that's like stupid.
Yeah,
that's not fair.
He still gets a straight line drive in the clutch every single time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It's just like it's like ridiculous what LeBron's handled to do. And AD, I thought, had a good game against the Clippers, and ultimately, the Lakers got away with a win. But like, it wouldn't surprise me if the next game they played, I think they play Orlando tonight. Like they probably are just going to shit the bed against Orlando and then and lose, and we're going to be like, okay, what happened to the Lakers? I don't know. I don't really have that coherent of like a.
I think we've seen
that
this,
but it's just weird.
We've seen that this team is, if they follow their trend of last year, they're not going to be a regular season team for like a good portion of like visual basketball. But like, I do think Austin Reeves will be a little more consistent. So I think they'll have a little bit of improvement.
He had a good game against the Clippers, but dude, the foul baiting stuff with him is ridiculous.
I'm so sick of it.
It's so bad. He might be
I used to be so against foul baiting, but like honestly, it's a skill.
I don't have a problem with getting to the free throw line. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with just straight up flopping to get to the free throw. Like he isn't even making natural like attempts to get shot up. He literally just like jumps.
But he'll start getting called for flop calls.
But he hasn't, and he could have like every single time in overtime against the Clippers, because whenever he drives left and he puts up like a leaning shot going left, he just like he jumps and falls on his own back. And
yeah. But the thing is, like, it's so hard to call that a flop, because if there is technically marginal contact while in the air, it's hard to say that's a flop. You know what I mean? But I agree. I think he will start getting called with flops. But I also think like he struggled this year. Like, let's be honest. And I think a lot of the Lakers' investment was in him being as good as he was to end the year and in the playoffs last year.
Yep.
But like I've preached forever, development isn't linear. He might struggle for a few months and then go on a run and then struggle for a few months and then come back. Like, for instance, like Tyler Hero, when he was as a rookie, was amazing. That second half, amazing in the playoffs. Came back the next year, everyone was like, "Oh, he sucks, blah blah blah. He's terrible." And he's developed. He's become a good player. It's very, very reasonable that Austin Reeves will iron out these kinks and he'll be fine come April.
Yeah, I think it's pretty likely that he does as well. I just think, I think this team is taking a very huge gamble that one of these guys is going to be good enough to be your third best player on the championship team come May or in April. And I don't know if that gamble is going to pay off. D'Lo has had a few good games in a row now, but even then it's like D'Lo still has his struggles and Austin Reeves is having his struggles. And if everything can start to get cohesion, and honestly, like, I've actually been kind of impressed with some of the guys. I think Christian Wood has actually been playing pretty well. I think he's looked pretty good overall. I think he definitely still has issues, but like
it's been matchup dependent, I think, for him in a lot of ways too.
But Vando being back is helping the defense. And I was talking about this on Twitter. I said the Lakers have two huge holes on their roster that they don't have I don't think that there's a scheme way to fix. And it was perimeter shot making, specifically 3-point shot making, and a versatile guard, a versatile defender, which they have Vando, but I think Vando can get cooked sometimes. Like, they always like did the thing like Vando is guard Curry 95 feet. It's like that's not actually doing anything. Like
I don't want to rip my guy Vando because like when we traded him, I actually was like so heartbroken.
Yeah, that guy's been traded so much.
Yeah, but like he is kind of an he is an overrated like one-on-one perimeter defender. He is not the kind of guy you can just throw on Dame or Curry or Luka and expect him to like seize control of that matchup. He's just not. Vanderbilt's best defensive abilities, in my opinion, are being able to play off ball in the passing lanes. And then when he is defending on the ball, it's defending screens and blowing up screens, blowing up actions, being able to blow up actual sets opponents are running instead of just like hey Vanderbilt, go guard Paul, go guard Paul George, and
he's better as like
he's
better as like almost like a free safety of like the defense. You know what I mean? Where he's on like the back line, and he's just gonna read he's gonna read the set that they're running, and he's just gonna explode, take 2 strides, snag the ball, gone. You know what I mean? Like, that's the type of stuff. He's gonna blow up the set.
Which is extremely valuable, right? But like that's a lot different than like a Jaden McDaniels, who is like a cornerback basically, who you can just throw on anybody and shut him down. Vanderbilt
needs
not really
to
like
be
that.
used like that. And I think if they did, it's perfect, because if you have AD and drop coverage and Vanderbilt on weak side playing a free safety role, like that's perfect. That's what you should have when he's on there. You shouldn't be having him pick up. But then again, they don't have who's an on-ball defender there.
Like, well, D'Lo said
you have to rely on D'Lo. You have to
dude. D'Lo is actually hilarious for the Derek White.
I will say
actually fucking hilarious.
Hey, he's actually seems like he's bought in on the defensive side this year, even though like his physicality.
Ryan's I've heard this one before.
I've seen that before.
Yeah, but I will say, no matter what, you got to remember physicals. At some point, he's an undersized 6 foot, like 3 guard.
D'Lo's like
6'4".
He's like 6'4".
Right? Like
he's taller, but he's really skinny. I always look at D'Lo like
he's still undersized. You know what I mean? Like, there's only so much you can do defensively. You're gonna get cooked in the NBA.
Yeah,
and Gabe Vincent is missing time now. So that makes it even worse.
But like Cam Reddish has been kind of like their defensive stopper, but like
he's always been good on defense, and people are surprised by that. It pisses me off. But that's the only reason he was on rosters, dude.
Yeah, but like if you it's like cool, Cam, like you can defend a little bit, but like you aren't going to get any playing time if you straight up can't even hit the rim on 3-point attempts. Like he regularly airballs corner threes, and it's like, oh my god, like how
it's disgusting.
You can't play in the playoffs if you're doing that. You just can't.
You just gotta hope that he irons it out in the regular season. That's what it is. They're hoping that.
They're hoping.
They're hoping.
Yeah.
How's Rui been? Is he out? Or I feel like I've seen like nothing of Rui.
I think he might be injured. I'm gonna double check.
I just realized I was like,
he's been hurt.
I'm like, I don't know if I just literally missed him on the last time I watched him play, but I don't remember.
He's been hurt.
He's played 3 games. Okay, so
he was not playing well the first game or 2.
Yeah,
he's in concussion protocol.
Okay, I was about to say he's been hurt, and when he has been playing, he just hasn't really been able to find an impact. Like,
yeah, but I think he will. I think he'll be fine.
I think he will. I just think some people have been kind of fooled by Ruby a little bit, because in the playoffs, his shooting shooting
was fake. If you thought that was going to
continue
out of nowhere, and people were like, "Oh man, Rui Hachimura sniper," and it's like, I think that he just kind of had a hot stretch at the right time.
Yeah, I am mad that the Lakers got him for like a 2nd-round pick and Kendrick Nunn.
Yeah,
off. God, that Wizards front office that just got fired is just one of the worst you've ever seen, probably.
Oh yeah.
I want to talk about a team that has been very, very fun to watch, and I don't know if do you guys, anybody else have any other teams they want to talk about for sure? And then we could probably use this one as our last one otherwise.
Yeah, I'm good.
No,
I want to talk about the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah,
because this team has been awesome to watch play. Okay, dude. Asar is sick. He is so sick. He is like the sickest player ever, dude. He's averaging like 10 boards a game. That's so awesome.
there was a stat. It was like in first 4 games or 5 games of your career, there's only 6 players to ever have 40 rebounds and 10 plus blocks, and he was the only person under like 6'11". Everyone else was a center.
Like,
everyone else was a center.
Matumbo and like
Bill Walton.
He's looked so good. Our friend of the podcast, Shad, the drop step, he just came out with a really good video about Asar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you guys should check that out.
I have to watch that one.
Yeah,
I haven't watched it yet.
It's a really good video.
He's also been one of the best defenders in the league.
Yeah,
he's been great. Yeah,
this rookie class,
it pisses me off.
Might have one of the best defensive classes ever, because we have both Wemby and Asar already being some of the best.
And amen if he can actually play.
Yep. And Scoot has defensive potential. And Brandon Miller has defensive potential. Like there's a lot of two-way guys in this.
Brandon Miller's been hooping, man. He's been playing pretty good. Jalen Duren, man, for the Pistons too. He's been like elite.
Point center.
Dude.
He's so good.
He's averaging. What is his average? I'm gonna look up.
Everyone was saying that. Hey, you guys remember in the offseason, everyone was saying that Jalen Duren like ball handling video is just like the new Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, no, it's
man,
not.
were they wrong? That's actually functional. It translates.
He's averaging 15 and 11.
Yeah. He's hurt though right now, right? He was out when he played the Blazers. I don't know how long he's out for though.
He's out right now. I don't know. There's too many injuries to keep up with timetables unless it's for my team. No, he's been sick. One thing I will say, this is not related to anything basketball actually, but I was watching the Pistons. I was like, God, this team's so fun. I'm gonna bet on them. None of them hit, so I'm not betting on them ever again.
Yeah. Cade also looks like he's.
Cade has been great, except for the night that I bet on him. Yeah. But Cade's been really good. I mean, he looks so much more comfortable scoring the ball, and his passing has been highlighted. This team needs more spacing. Bojan coming back, being able to space the floor, and Killian Hayes is still out there. But one thing I do want to point out, Jaden Ivey is getting pushed to the back of this like totem pole, like really
Monty
fast.
Like hates him. I don't. What's the deal?
He's barely playing, and when he does play, he's playing like garbage time where he's like not good.
He needs a new team. Yeah. I'm a big believer in him. I just think that
and we talked about this with when we talked about the Pistons with them drafting Ivy. It's like you draft like two non-shooting, ball handling, scoring guards in back-to-back drafts, and then and then you already have Killian Hayes on the roster, and then you draft Asar Thompson, who's like a shooting guard, small forward, center hybrid, and it's like, and then like you have like I don't know. I think it's just
they should have drafted.
It's just pissing me off. It's just pissing me off.
They had to pick before the Kings, right? Or
they had to pick after.
They should have taken Shaedon Sharpe at 5.
Yeah, that would have been a great pickup.
I don't know. I was not high on Jaden Ivey, especially to Detroit at all.
Yeah,
because I just
they're assembling the greatest non-shooting basketball team of all.
Yeah, it just doesn't work. Like I don't think Jaden Ivey has shown enough to be like you just got to make it work and deal with the redundancy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And in terms of like the Killian Asar thing, is like they're getting minutes because they play good defense. And they have good chemistry with Cade and Durant and each other. You know what I mean?
Killian is a really strong defender.
And he's good he sets everybody up and he has good chemistry with their bigs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like Ivy, the game, like he hasn't shown that he can do that. Really, even against bench players, like you said, because even when he does play right now, he doesn't look good. He's coming off the bench.
Yeah.
And, the Pistons, I think they made a big mistake that draft for sure.
Also, shout out Marvin Bagley.
That draft.
6 was
Benedict Mathurin.
Oh,
either Mathurin.
Did I think the dream for them to get spacing next to them would have been Keegan Murray? Honestly,
yeah, but that wasn't available. So
I'm
obviously that's not available.
I don't know. There was okay. I don't think the Kings were ever really considering Ivy, but like before the draft, there was like a lot of mocks did have Ivy going forward to the Kings, which never made sense at the time, but people did believe that Keegan would end up a Piston, which would have helped. That would have been a dream come true fit, but that didn't happen, obviously.
I think at that point, you just like, even if your guy gets taken, it's like you trade down or you just got to look at like fit.
It's kind of a rough draft class, honestly.
I don't. Maybe they were just high on Ivy, but I personally didn't. I didn't see the talent of Ivy like exceeding the fit benefit of Benedict or Sharpe. You know what I mean?
You know what?
I don't know.
I personally thought Sharpe and Benedict were better prospects going into the draft than Ivy.
I am not like a big draft guy, but like I thought Ivy at Purdue was like so good.
He's just a cool player.
I've always liked Ivy as a player, and I don't like the situation. And then you bring Monty in, and Monty's only playing Ivy like 20 minutes a night, sometimes less than that. It's kind of a rough going. Benedict Mathurin, just as like a small side thing, I don't think he's looked very good this season either.
He's looked okay.
He's just, I don't know. He's looked fine.
Yeah, we'll see. Again,
we'll see.
Young guys, you can never tell.
You never know.
Williams looked like God when his rookie year, and then he sucked. Chris Middleton barely could find a footing in the league, and he's been great. We'll see.
Tyreek Evans peaked as a rookie, and then
Michael.
Yeah, it's like you never know, man.
Yeah,
dude,
but
the Timberwolves have been so fucking weird this season.
I'm sorry, bro. That picture of your thumbnail from your podcast.
You look so deep.
It's actually so depressed. It's actually so
dude.
Like, so sad.
I think that the best part is whole feed is Ryan happiness, and just silence. It's just like, this is ridiculous. This is horrible. That's just all it was.
No, it's.
Then you beat thank you. You know what? You beat the hell out of the Nuggets. And guess what? You know what? I'm going to say this. That team, everybody's tweeting about that damn Bucks game too, nobody was talking about how Jokic had more turnovers than assists, and he's down by 20 throwing the ball.
Yeah.
In back-to-back games, I believe he had more turnovers than assists.
He had multiple games so far that.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm going to be honest. A lot of the top runners this year have not looked that great.
No.
Except for Curry, on the other hand. Steph Curry.
Other than Boston,
man,
I think
I'm sick of Boston and that, bro. Why they get a cupcake schedule to start the season, bro? That's so BS. They look great. They're playing the freaking Wizards.
They look good, but like the Pacers without Halliburton, it's like the Celtics have played all like lottery teams so far. I'm not moved by that yet.
Yeah. They're playing like the bottom three defenses.
But you play who's in front of you, and in my opinion, they're the only top team in each conference that's actually looked like the teams that I thought they would.
Okay, well the
Nuggets have looked good, but I will say even Jokic, turnovers and I think they do have some weaknesses. But I still think they've looked like the best team in the league.
Yeah, but also the Wolves are a good matchup for the Nuggets because you can throw McDaniels on. McDaniels takes Murray out of the game, and Cat defends Jokic at surprisingly well or better than you really think he would.
Mm-hmm.
The Wolves defense is actually insane. It's so good. The half-court defense.
My concern more edges on the fact that with the Nuggets, my more concern is seeing the more turnovers and assists and seeing some efficiency in their shooters drop because, like I said, you can't repeat having an insane shooting season every year. And I think I don't think they're gonna repeat it. And I think that's what they've seen. And it's I will say the Wolves. I honestly think the Wolves have the best matchup for Jokic in the league with Rudy and Cat. And like you say, people don't give Cat enough credit for what he's done because people call Cat a physique. They call him weak. They call him all this shit. But he's done a good job against Jokic in his career, which is
historically he's done a
5% of people in the NBA against Jokic can do that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Maybe even that lower.
Gobert has honestly done a historically okay job too. You can make the argument that the Wolves have two of the best Jokic covers in the NBA on the same team.
Yeah. Well, that's probably a big reason why they traded for Rudy. You know what I mean?
Could be. Yeah.
You got people got to realize we're entering this new age where the top guys in the league are all 7 foot, right? Yeah. So now when people are picking up pieces or making trades, the trade market now, the value of guards and wings is going to go down. So players like Rudy Gobert, there's a reason the trade market was so much bigger. It's because it's hey, guess what? A defensive guy that can put up a little bit of a stop against Jokic, Giannis, Embiid, and Victor is so much more valuable than a guard that doesn't provide necessarily anything.
No, it's interesting how it's gone because obviously the league was dominated by big guys forever, and then the Warriors revolutionized small ball, and the league went super small for like a bunch of years. Like you guys remember the Rockets traded like every center on their roster.
No, Russell Westbrook's center era was fire. That was the greatest era of basketball. That 5-out Russell Westbrook in the dunker spot.
Yeah.
Ever since like the 70s, we've seen basketball get progressively smaller, like center domination, and then it was everyone's like it's a wings league, and like it's still like kind of a thing that people say. But even then, small ball comes, like point guards start dominating. It's like guards start like if you look at some of the best guards in NBA history, it's all in recent memory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like now we're seeing like
it's
the
league's
skill advancement of the small guys. Yes, the skill advancement of the small guys is now getting caught up by the big guys.
Yeah, because you got Jokic and Embiid and Giannis, and now like obviously Victor and Chet and all these new guys.
Paulo, Jabari, like all these guys. It's like even though they're not as skilled, they're still new age big men that like they have guard skills. They can stretch the floor like we've never seen. And it's like it's gonna get even like worse but better. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna continue to evolve. And what I'm excited for the next true generational guard. Like, what's the next step? Who's the next Steph Curry? You know what I mean? Is it like it's just someone that can shoot from 40 feet instead of just 30 feet consistently? Is it someone who's got like ambidextrous? Is it like what's the next step? Because or do the big men just dominate forever after this? Like, what's the deal?
It's gonna be
someone's gonna come in and they're gonna like disrupt it and shift the meta again.
Yeah, he's in the league right now. His name's Vic.
Well, I'm just saying for the guards. I'm telling you right now. Guys.
I'm telling you right now. There's gonna be eventually Victor Wembanyama is it's gonna be hilarious when eventually that dude is literally just gonna like have full-time point guard duties.
Oh yeah.
Like
no.
He's the best player, scorer, and defender on his team already.
Yeah, my thing is what's the next evolution for guards? Because if we just get a bunch of Victor Wembanyama like in the next couple of decades, it's like
probably like bigger, hyper athletic. Guys, probably.
Yeah, you think they just get bigger?
Probably.
I don't know. I personally don't think they'll ever add the 4-point line, so I don't think there'll ever be like that evolution. I want to see someone be ambidextrous. That's what I think. I think
just be able to shoot with both hands.
I think the next like big like Steph Curry guard that's gonna make people go small, like oh shit, we actually have to like change our roster construction for him is gonna be he's gonna be a threat from both ways.
That'd be crazy.
Because that's like the only way without the 4-point line. That's like the only way that the game can improve, like in terms of like you either can shoot the ball from further away, so like it's just like Steph Curry plus, and you just get a 40-foot, 50-foot shooter.
Yeah,
that just seems absurd to me. But
because that's because then you're kind of pushing the capabilities of what humans can do consistently. That's just versus,
Versus I think someone being able to pull up from like hugging the 3-point line with his left and then also pull up hugging the 3-point line with his right. I honestly think that's a lot more reasonable than someone pulling up from 45 consistently. 40 consistently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the only realistic way I see the game changing without rules changing.
Mm-hmm.
Off topic, but Victor is just like broken my brain, and I'm like curious and like how. And especially this next draft class, we got a bunch of skilled power forwards that are coming up. Like it's a huge draft class of guys that are gonna be like big wings. Like I don't even want to call them power forwards or bigs because it's like they're 6'10" wings.
Yeah.
And even Scotty's another new age one.
Yeah.
He's 6'10".
And you've got guys like Cooper Flagg who are going to be in the draft like 2 years from now, and they're like an enormous wing that can shoot and dribble, defend the rim and dribble. It's crazy. Yeah.
Exciting stuff. NBA, I think NBA's in for a huge another golden age. Everyone has talked about the worry of what happens after LeBron and Steph. Well,
we're good, bro.
Yeah, we're good.
Victor
said the same thing in the 90s when there's in the 80s when Bird and Magic were slowing down. Said the same thing in the early 2000s when Jordan was retiring.
There are so many faces of the league like who there are so many players like in the league right now that could like replace the Steph and the LeBron.
They have
KD.
They already have them lined up. It's
Wembanyama,
Luka, Tatum,
Anthony Edwards, Ja Morant, like all those guys. They could do it.
Yeah.
R.I.P. the Grizzlies for real though. Don't want to talk about them, but I'm sending prayers up for you.
If they lose against Portland tonight, it's over for them.
Sell.
Oh my God! No, we play them back to back. If we beat them back to back, I honestly think you got to change something.
It's so over.
That's something outside of just Ja Morant.
My God.
Honestly, or you just tank and you just get a wing in the wing stack draft. We literally just talked about how they have huge wings. That's the Memphis weakness.
Zaire's been good though.
Yeah, he's been improved, but still that's still their weakness. Maybe you just call this a wrap. You don't sell any big pieces. You do some refining. You wait for you guys to get healthy. You get in the lottery. Hopefully you get lucky, or you suck so bad you don't even have to get lucky. You know what I mean? You get a good wing. You get a good solid lottery pick, and you move on. And you just call it a scrap. Ja Morant fucked up. The team fucking sucks without him. You gotta obviously fix your role players. I just
can't get over how extreme that punishment is for him.
Oh,
I don't really want to talk about it that much, but like 25 games is so much.
It's a shame. It's actually a shame. But
yeah, with that being said, I think that's pretty much all we got today. We'll be back next week with another episode talking about some more stuff. Maybe, hopefully there's some more narratives out there. I feel like we haven't getting many narratives right now. We need some more agendas.
Hey, if Shane Sharp has a good weekend, the Shane Sharp agenda will come.
Yeah.
Especially with Scoot out. I don't know, man. If he can look like he can be an engine.
We're cooking up. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody making it to this point of the video. If you did, make sure you leave a like, comment, subscribe if you are not. Check out all the links in the description for all of our socials and other work that we've been working on. Ryan's got a new podcast talking about the Timberwolves.
Yes.
He's got his writing going on, all the solo videos that we got coming when we are available, as we are busy gentlemen. But with that being said, have a good one. Peace out.
Peace.